Hello guys! Today we're going to speak about true, false, not given for the reading section. Remember that true, false, not given follow the same strategies as the yes, no, not given. Many students have told me that they find hard to identify if a statement is true or not given. So I know that's very tricky, but something that you need to bear in mind whenever you have a true, false, not given or yes, no, not given kind of question is that language is the main focus. So these kind of questions focus on vocabulary. So you really have to identify the language points in the question, and then the correct answer should pop up. Okay, so let's have a look at this strategy step by step. So one of the things that I recommend to do first is to read the questions carefully. So your main focus at the moment is the questions and not the text. The text is actually the last thing we're going to check. So the main thing is to underline any of the 11 language points that you see in in the screen, and we need to try to find that in the question. So identify what kind of language each question from 6 to 13 in this case they're telling me to find, and then through the context words we will see where it is in the text. So just for now we need to underline all of the 11 points that we can find in each sentence, and then we're going to circle the context keywords, so the specific unique keywords that will help me find where to start reading basically in the text. If I have a look at number 6, it says significant numbers. So significant is an adjective. We're killed. So killed is a verb with negative connotation by humans from the 1830s onwards. So this language point is time expression. Then several is a quantifier to describe a number. Then we have during the late 1800s. So once again, we've got time. Jonas prediction. So prediction, that's verbs or words, okay, to express doubt or speculation. About surprised some biologist. Okay, so again, surprised, express doubt, hesitation, speculation. In the early 1900s, so that's time expressions again. Many, so that's a quantifier again. Scientists became worried, adjective, okay, in this case, negative connotation, about the possible extension. So once again, express doubt, speculation. Oh, let's listen. Proposal to rehome captive citizens on an island proved to be impractical. So impractical, negative connotation of adjectives, proved to be verb with cause and effect is the effect. The result of the proposal was impractical. Cause and effect. There were still reasonable numbers, so adjective, something in existence, when a piece of legislation protecting the species during the breeding season was passed. Okay, so we have time expression from 1930 to 1936, time expression, the only, so that's a restrictive word, only, except, known living things were all, again, restrictive word, in captivity. Attempts to find living intelligence are now time expression, rarely, time expression, made. Okay, so we have the language points, as many language points as we could find in the text. And what we're going to do now is we're going to circle the context words. These keywords are the ones related to the topic of the text. And basically, I would have to find a very specific words that would help me locate where should I begin reading. So I'm not going to read the whole text from the beginning to the end. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pick exactly the place where I should be reading in order to find the language points and therefore the answer. So in this case, obviously, we are referring to the animal, thylacine, killed by humans. So humans is a keyword because it could be by another animal or by climate change, I don't know. But in this case, it's very specific that is by humans. The next one is that the thylacines were born, so born in zoos. That's very specific. Then if I have names, I would always circle the names. Surprised some biologists, many scientists, so scientist, possible extinction. Once again, name, proposal, okay. Rehome captive thylacines on an island place. There were still reasonable numbers of thylacines in existence when a piece of legislation, okay, so legislation protecting the species passed. The only known living thylacines were all in captivity. Attempts to find living thylacines are now rarely made. So, find living animals rarely made. So, whenever I identified all the language points possible and my context keywords, what I'm going to do now is find my context keywords first. By scanning the text, I could easily pinpoint what section of the passage I would have to read so that I could find the answer. So let's do that. I'm going to try to scan the text looking for the keywords. Like I'm going to try to do it in order. Let's begin with 6. So it's about the thylacines killed by humans, and then I've got the time. So the time could actually help me. So I'm going to try to scan quickly, looking for the numbers. Anything about years. Okay. And I found the year. Significant numbers of thylacines were killed by humans. Okay, so what I'm going to try to do now is read this paragraph and try to find more context keywords to see if I'm in the right place. So they're speaking about numbers of thylacines killed by humans. Dramatic decline. Okay, so if I read the paragraph carefully, I could notice that I have decline of the thylacine in Tasmania. So that would be the number of the animals, and it's a dramatic decline. So significant numbers of thylacines. I already have that. And now I would say that I need one word, right? One word, verbs or phrases or words with negative connotation, and it has to be about humans. So if I continue reading, is generally attributed, okay, so the decline, the dramatic decline, is generally attributed to the relentless efforts of farmers and bounty hunters, okay, with shotguns. Okay, so shotguns, decline attributed. This relates to kill. It's paraphrasing the language point for the negative connotation, killed. And then farmers and hunters, I know that they're both people because they've got ER at the end. So it's the same as teacher, or singer, right? When we have ER, I know it's about people. So in that case, I know that number 6 was true. Why? Because I found all the language points that I needed. I have the adjective, I have the negative connotation, and I have the time expression. Now I know this is the right place because I have also my context keywords together with the language points. So when I have so many keywords all together, it means this is the right place. Right. In number 7, I need to find a quantifier and also time expression, late 800s, and the context keywords was about the thylacines born in zoos. So I would have to find something related to the time first because it's easy to have a look at numbers, okay? And zoos because it's my context keyword. Now, because I found number 6 there, I'm going to continue reading a little bit more and see if I can find the answers in order. Now, it's not always the case, but I'm predicting, or my intuition tells me, in the next paragraph I could find number 7. If that's not the case, I'm not going to worry, and I'm going to continue with question 8, 9 and 10 and the following ones. And then I could go back to the beginning of the text and see if I can find the answers there. Because it's not always the case that I would have the answers going one after the other. Sometimes they are disorganized. But just for now, I'm going to try and see if I could find something else after number 6. So I'm going to begin scanning the next paragraph. So as I said, looking for zoo and 1899. Look at that. Okay, so 1899, that means late 1800s. Yep. I also have found zoos. Yep. So now, to find the answer, I need to read the text carefully and see if I can also find the quantifier. So I'm going to now read carefully, analyzing the language that I need. So in this case, was the quantifier. I need to find a quantifier, and then the time expression that I've already found. So there was only one, so that's quantity. Successful attempt to breed a silacine in captivity. So breed a silacine in captivity could be to be born. And so that tells me this is the right place because I do have a lot of keywords connected one to another. I do have a quantity there, and I do have the time expression. So although the time expression is late 1800s, for the quantifier I have the opposite of several. So several is many, and only one is obviously the opposite. So when that happens, I would say that is false. Why? Because I do have the quantifier and I do have the time expression, that one of them is opposite, is not the same. So number 7 is going to be false. Let's continue with number 8. So as I said, I'm going to try and keep reading and see if now I could find the context keywords in green in the following section. I have a name, so I would try to scan quickly, looking for the capital letters first, and then see if I can find the rest of the language points. So in this case, it's this John. So I keep reading quickly, looking quickly for capital letters. Look at that, John. Okay, so I know I have the name. Then I'll continue with the language points. Prediction about the thylacine, surprised, and then biologists. So prediction, it was the doubt, and I have here the foresaw, so speculation. Then I do have the context keyword thylacine, same as the other name. Demise, when he published his Mammals of Australia between 1848 1863, writing, the numbers of this singular animal will steadily diminish. Extermination will have its full sway, and it will then, like the wolf of New England and Scotland, be recorded as an animal of the past. Okay, so I read in detail, but I can't really connect any of the language points anymore. So I don't have anything about surprise, and I don't have anything about other people like biologists. So the only thing that I could find was the name and the prediction. So I could only find one language point. In that case, it is not given because I don't have enough information on this. Remember that not given could be I don't have any information at all, or I have some information but it's incomplete. Like in this case, I have some information but not the rest of the language points that I need and the context keywords that I need. Therefore, not given. Let's go back to 9. I have time expression, this case 1900s. Then I do have a quantifier, speaking about scientists, negative adjective, word about speculation, doubt, and then negative word extension. Let's see if I can find the numbers first. As I said before, let's continue reading and see if I can continue finding the questions in order. And also, I'm going to have a look at the other keyword that I have, that is scientists and extension. So let's go for the scanning bit. Scientists. So this is one of my keywords. Okay, and I notice that I have the next name for the next question in 10. So that's a little bit suspicious, because if they're giving me some of the context keywords of the following questions, probably it means that question 9 should be around there. Now, what I have to do is read in detail. However, there seems to have little public pressure to preserve the animal. Many scientists became worried about the extinction. Apparently, little public pressure. And then let's see what happens with the scientists. No was much concern. Okay, so no, like not, concern, worry. So I do have the language point, adjective with negative connotation. In this case, is the noun with negative connotation. It's paraphrasing the same language point expressed by scientists. So basically, no concern by scientists. Not many scientists. So that is false. So many, the opposite, not much. I have the context keyword, scientist. I have the negative connotation, but the opposite, so worried, not worried, not much concern about the possible extinction and by scientists. These are my context keywords. Preserve the thylacine, so to preserve is to avoid extinction, to protect from extinction by scientists. So it's the opposite, really. Okay, so as we mentioned before, I have the next context keyword just there, which is the name from question 10. So let's have a look. Rehome captive animal on an island. Now, proved to be impractical. I have doubt and I have the negative adjective impractical. Let's have a look and see if I can find any. So in this case, because I found the first context keyword, I'm gonna keep reading quickly and see if I have anything about no time, so that's not important. Okay, let's read a little bit more in detail and see if I can find the language that I need. Especially concerned about the scarcity of the thylacine to suggest that some should be captured and placed on a small island. Okay, I do have another context keyword. But it was not until protection board past protecting. Okay, so that sounds as the context keyword for question 11 that was about past and legislation protecting. So I think that would be the following question, which means that question 10 should be answered just there. Okay, so now I'm going to read more in detail, more carefully, and see if I can find anything about impractical proposal. Flynn, in 1914, he was sufficiently concerned about the scarcity of the thylacine to suggest that some should be captured and placed on a small island. Okay. Nothing about proving to be impractical, you see. So he wants to rehome, yeah, captured and placed, rehome thylacine, the animal. But I can't see any language point proved to be anything about expressing speculation or doubt, impractical, nothing about adjectives with negative connotation. So it means that number 10 is not given. I don't have the language points. It doesn't matter that I found all my context keywords. Remember that my context keywords are just to prove I'm in the right place. I'm reading the right passage, the right section. But the fact that I'm finding my context keywords doesn't give me the answer. My answer is always based on my language points. So, therefore, I can't find it. It's not given. Which takes me to the next question, 11. As we mentioned, I already found two context keywords there. That is past and protecting, legislation protecting. So that's the law. So let's see if I can find my language points. There were still reasonable numbers of the animal in existence when this law was passed. I would read in detail and I'll see with species on the very edge, okay, the very edge of extinction. There you go. This is my language point. Reasonable numbers of thylacines. So that means a lot of numbers. Yeah, is looking for quantities. And what it says in the text is that they were very few. Species was on the edge, so limit of extinction, so very close to extinction when the Protection Board passed the law protecting the thylacines only for the month of December. So in this case, I have during the breeding season, which is here, only for the month of December, which was thought to be the prime breeding season. So I do have one language point during the breeding season, December, but I have the opposite of the other language point. Instead of a lot of numbers, I just have the limit of extinction, so very few numbers. And that's why 11 is false, because it's giving me the opposite of my language point, the one that I need to find about quantities. Question 12. I have time expression that is always very helpful to scan in the text without even reading, just looking quickly. And then known living thylacines captivity. So let's have a look at the numbers. Okay, I do have 1936 and I do have 1930, which means that again I would have to read carefully, looking for my context keywords and my language keywords. So it says the last one, animal to be killed was shot by a farmer in 1930, leaving just captive specimens. So let's have a look at my language points again so that I can make connections So from 1930 to 1936, 1930, 1936, leaving just. This is the only, so it's a restrictive word, captive specimens. So I have my restriction, I have my time expression, we're all in captivity. I have my keywords, captive, captivity, known. So all of them were in captivity, and then the last known individual died in the zoo. So that proves that was in captivity. So 12 is true. I do have my time expression. I do have my restriction word only with the meaning just. And the last known individual, so that means all of the individuals were in the zoo, were all in captivity in the zoo. So yes, we have the synonyms and the paraphrasings, the right paraphrase. So that's why it's true. Finally, we have question 13. So once again, find living thylacines and now rarely made. Okay, the attempts to find these animals are now rarely made. I need time expression, more specifically about frequency. As we can see, this is the last paragraph of the text, and this is my last question. So I would assume that question 13 should be there. Now, if I couldn't find any of the keywords, okay, any of the words in green, then I would have to think that I missed it, and maybe that is disorganized, so maybe it's not in order. So I would have to read from the beginning of the text again and see if I could find it. But for the moment, let's try and read in detail, looking for the keywords and the language points. So it says, there have been numerous expeditions and searches for the thylacine over the years. Okay, so numerous expeditions and searches, that means attempts. So this is one of my context keywords, attempts. Okay, but obviously it's been paraphrased. For the thylacine over the years, so that's in the past, none of which has produced definite evidence that thylacines still exist. So find living still exist. To find the animals alive, so to find that the animals still exist. That's another context keyword. Then, now, these attempts rarely made. So time expression. The species was declared extinct, okay, by the Tasmanian government in 1986. So they don't really mention anything about now. So it doesn't really contradict, because the opposite of rarely would be always. I don't have anything about now, so I have something about the past, but nothing about the frequency. So, what do you think it is? Indeed, I don't have enough language points. I only have one language point, that is the opposite, because it's nothing about now, but I don't have the other time expression, rarely, that is about the frequency of those expeditions and those attempts. So my language point is incomplete. Remember that that's what gives me the answers, is not the context keywords. The context keywords just help me to find the right place. The answer is about the language. Okay, guys, so for the true false not given or yes not given, remember that they follow the same step-by-step strategy. What I do first is scan. I scan looking for the context keywords in green. Once I find the context keywords in green in the text, then I read quickly. I skim. And I try to find more keywords. So, whenever I see the beginning and the end of the keywords, I know this is just the place that I need to read. I don't have to read about everything. Once I find all my context keywords, I would have to read carefully, looking for language points, which will give me the answer for the true false not given. Okay, so that's all for me. I hope that this was useful and see you soon. Bye!